In the headlines, Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom withdraws support for PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. Information and Culture Minister accuses U.S. of fake terror alarm. E-Naira transactions hit over 8 billion naira since inception last year. Away from Nigeria, one Sudanese protester killed in coup anniversary crackdown. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. Now, beginning with political matters, Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom on Tuesday appeared to withdraw his support for the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar. Ortom accused the PDP candidate of dishonoring him as governor and working against the interest of Benue residents. His comments came after a group of elder statesmen in Benue also withdrew their support for the presidential candidate over alleged hate speech and profiling of Benue people. Ortom appeared to have been incensed over the comments on the recent killings by suspected herdsmen in Benue State. Ortom also said that Atiku had sidelined him in selecting his presidential campaign team.
His campaign team, nothing there, I'm aware. The people they appointed there, no consent from me, and so on. So, me, I remain my own, but I'm waiting. When the election comes, we shall vote the election according to the election.
Now, former President Goodluck Jonathan has called on the National Assembly to consider a law mandating governorship and presidential aspirants to contest primaries as a pair in order to reduce the friction between political principals and their deputies. He spoke on Tuesday in Abuja at a book launch in honor of Governor Abdullahi Ganduje. The former president noted that the frosty relationship between political principals and their deputies often resulted in them not nominating their deputies to take over from them. Governor Ganduje says deputy governors in Nigeria must ensure loyalty to their principals.
Between the elected governor, those are governor-elect and deputy governor-elect become frosty even before the inauguration. So to me, I'm thinking that National Assembly should look at it, or Nigerians beyond the National Assembly, because the issue of electing political leaders, it's just that our constitution don't have the provision for a referendum. In other countries where the constitutions have provision for referendum, it's good to have a referendum. Probably it's better for the vice president, for you to qualify to run for the primaries as a governorship candidate. You should run with your deputy.
Relationships between some governors and their deputies in Nigeria since the Second Republic has been that of disloyalty, envy, betrayal, mistrust, ambition, sidelining, political and financial suffocation.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has released timetable and schedule of activities for Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi State governorship elections. This was contained in a statement signed by the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, INEC, Festus Okoye, on Tuesday. INEC revealed that the governorship elections of these three states will hold on November 11, 2023. According to the Commission, this decision is in fulfillment of the requirement of Section 28(1) of the Electoral Act 2022, which mandates the Commission to publish the notice of election not later than 360 days before the date fixed for the elections. Similarly, Sections 178(1) and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, mandates the Commission to conduct such elections not earlier than 150 days and not later than 30 days before the expiration of the term of the last holder of the office. The tenure of the incumbent governor of Imo State ends on January 14, 2024, while those of Kogi and Bayelsa State end on January 26, 2024 and February 13, 2024, respectively. The Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has notified all the primary elections conducted by the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State over unlawful exclusion of some members of the party as delegates to the primaries. One, George Olu, and 4 others had approached the court requesting that the primaries of APC in the state be nullified following their alleged exclusion as delegates in the process. Justice E.A. Obile, in judgment, agreed with the plaintiffs that they were wrongly excluded in the election of delegates to participate in the primary election. Justice Obile therefore ruled that all those elected from the primary is nullified and should not be recognized as candidates. Now, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, on Tuesday visited Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, to commiserate with the victims of the ravaging flood in the state. Atiku donated the sum of 55 million naira to the flood victims, saying that the donation was his token to support the recovery process of those affected by the flood. He described the disaster as disheartening and lamented its effect on the lives and economy of people of the state. Atiku called on the federal government and individuals and organizations to support Bayelsa in advocating the setting up of an independent flood disaster relief fund that will provide succor to victims. He also suggested a temporary fund for farmers to ameliorate their losses and provide them with capital for next year's planting season, and urged the federal government to build the required infrastructure to contain excess waters to avert reoccurrence. He said if elected president of Nigeria, he will commit to completing a dam in Adamawa State and take other necessary measures to ensure that Nigeria does not suffer this magnitude of damage as a result of flooding.
Friends and associates in the corporate world and in private capacities to join me in this cause. If elected as president in the presidential elections next year, I shall commit to completing the Dading Hausa Dam in Adamawa State to manage the releases of excess water from Lagdo Dam in the Cameroon Republic. I shall also commit to working with state governments like Bayelsa to build the required flood management infrastructure. A scholarship granted to the 2 children he has left behind. This scholarship will educate them up to university level. God bless them. Thank you.
The Lagos State Deputy Governor, Kadri Obafemi Hamzat, has said that the state has started dredging of River Ogun in view of pending flooding. Hamzat said that the step is a proactive measure against ravaging floods in the country as 9 rivers discharges into Lagos. The Deputy Governor made this clarification in view of some fake videos of the current state of the lagoon going round, which showed high water level under the 3rd Mainland Bridge. It could be recalled that the State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources described the trending video of the lagoon on social media as fake, saying it only captured the Oworonshoki end of the 3rd Mainland Bridge, which is normal. However, the state government issued warnings to waterfront residents of Ikoyi, Lekki, Victoria Island and coastal areas of Ekpe and Badagry to be cautious of the high tide.
Videos making round, please ignore it. Lagos in the past 3 years has built 282 new canals. What are those canals supposed to do? To take water to? However, let us understand that climate change is real. We can see what happened in Pakistan. We saw what happened in Florida. We saw what happened in Belgium. We saw what happened around the world. So the Atlantic Ocean It's the same Atlantic Ocean that gets to London. So when it snows and it melts, it gets into those, and it's coming here 14, 15 days later. So we must prepare ourselves. Don't let us patronize all these cart pushers. When the state says don't, it's not to take business from them. It's to protect all of us. Because they only discharge into our canals. Our canals are not refuse dump. They are to move waters.
Nigeria's government on Tuesday criticized the United States and the UK embassies for releasing separate security advisories regarding a possible terror attack in Abuja. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed at the ongoing Global Media and Information Literacy Week holding in Abuja described the advisories as fake terror alerts. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Speaking at the Ministerial Panel on National Media and Information Literacy Framework, Lai Mohammed, while citing sources and enablers of disinformation, described the action of the two embassies and the wide media coverage accorded to it as inimical to the peace, stability and economy of the nation.
Suddenly, this same alert finds its way into the media, both new and traditional, thus creating panic in the polity. Yesterday, schools were shut, businesses were closed, travel plans were altered, lives were disrupted. No one cared to find out about the authenticity of these alerts.
Minister of Communication and Digital Economy Ibrahim Pantami blamed the rising wave of disinformation globally on the unregulated new media, recommending self-regulation and societal reorientation to checkmate the spread.
Because of our societal orientation, most of our people, more than 90% today of our population, probably, whatever they see, if there is no any counter narrative, they will consume and agree with it. Even if you delay for 24 hours to counter, they will just take it like revelation.
Minister of Education Adamu, represented by the State Minister Goodluck Opia, told the audience that the ministry is considering introducing media literacy in schools to equip the younger generation with the necessary tools to detect disinformation.
That includes identifying the media component that should be taught in schools, in mainstreaming school curriculum, and then engaging the quality of teachers that can handle information and handle our young people in learning what kind of information they should be able to take.
The forum, moderated by the Deputy Director General, Information and Communication of UNESCO, Taufik Jalasi, featured virtual presentation from the United Kingdom, including a question and answer session. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at preserving African cultural and diplomatic ties. Details of this and more after the break.
Which kind wire you gonna need to light up your light? Oh man, the quality wire. Now which kind cable you gonna need to light up your house? Oh man, the quality cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman tank. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Come and be the come and see, come and see. Come and be the Coleman won't light up your line. Come and be the come and see. Come and be the COLEMAN. Quality, quality. To the bull. Oh yeah. Now come and be the Baba. That's great.
This is the road leading up to the Lokoja Bridge from Abuja, and as you can see, tankers carrying fuel, trucks carrying livestock, perishables, and commuters trying to make their way from point A to point B have all been slowed down as a result of the flooding going on in Lokoja.
As I tell you, so my house is inside water like this.
This is my house. This Greasy is my house.
We have no option than to come here and look for what we chop.
This water have really spoiled many things. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm not in my own house.
I want to encourage them and assure them that their governor, the governor they elected, had come to see them, and government officials have been going there to see them. They are not in this alone. We are with them.
Welcome back. This is the news update on Trust Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom withdraws support for PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. Information and Culture Minister accuses U.S. of fake terror alarm. Elsewhere, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule challenged journalists on abiding by the ethics of their profession to promote peace among diverse groups in the country. Governor Sule said this during an interactive session with members of the State Council of Nigerian Union of Journalists in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report and is here presented in our studio.
The purpose of the parley between the Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule and members of the pen profession was for the governor to appreciate the media on their contributions to the society through information dissemination, enlightenment, awareness creation, and setting of agenda for policymakers. Governor Sule, who condemned the attitude of those causing pockets of crisis in the society, acknowledged the contributions of media in the state and advised journalists to embark on journalism that would promote peace and attract investment.
I urge you also to remember the ethics of your own profession. Not to allow either myself or any politician whatsoever to use you for anything negative. I assure you that I will not use you for anything negative, and I hope that you will not allow anyone else to use you for anything negative against anybody.
Speaking on his re-election bid, Governor Sule, who is contesting to occupy his position for the second term, said power comes from God and is not taking the contest as do-or-die affair.
But this power that we keep making noise about it is God Almighty that gives power to whom He wishes at the time He wishes, the way He wants it. All that is we are trying to do is to do our best. But at the end of the day, the power will come to who God wants that power to go to. And it is not what we want or what we wish or what we pray for, it is what God wants, and that's the way it is going to go. So if you believe truly in that, then you will be very careful about condemning other people or creating more confusion or guilt.
Governor Sule further said the usual acrimony between successors and predecessors are caused by the habit of sycophants, and he appreciated the fact that since receiving the mantle of leadership from his predecessor, there was no misunderstanding between them. On their part, Nasarawa State Chairman of the NUJ and correspondent chapel in the state, Saliu Alkali and Isaac Upoju thanked Governor Sule for the good working relationship between media and his administration. The chairman said the media in the state will continue to set agenda for the government and also be the voice of the people at all times.
I also want to tell us the focus. This is the second time you hear us talking about this. I think the first of this time. We are all stakeholders here. If natural state is going, nobody can sleep. So as much as possible, we try to do our best to contribute our quota towards ensuring that the state is safe for people to thrive and people.
The two leaders urged their members to promote unity in their reportage and always be mindful of insightful reports that could cause division.
Now, in order to protect the identity of every ethnicity across the country, particularly the Yoruba race, the Are Onibon Balogun of Ibadan land, Adeboyega Taufik, has admonished governments at all levels on the promotion and preservation of cultural artifacts. He gave the charge while speaking to journalists in Ibadan during the celebration of this year's Abose Day. The Are Onibon of Ibadan called on the government to provide an enabling environment for the protection and preservation of cultural and traditional heritage and values, which offer an insight into the technological processes, economic development and social structure, among other attributes of the people.
Every nation has its own culture, and we need to celebrate our culture. But we can make a lot of money from tourism by celebrating our culture. There are several cultures that we can sell to the world. So I encourage government to invest in tourism, and the only way to invest in tourism is to encourage different segments of society, different ethnicities, to celebrate their culture, to teach our children about our culture, so that it doesn't go to waste. We can make money from it. We can develop the economy and the nation from it. We are no family in Ibadan. All of us should come together as one. Nothing should separate us. Not politics, not religion. We should see ourselves as brothers and sisters. We should work together for the development of Ibadan land. It is when Ibadan is happy that we are all happy. We are all brothers and sisters, and we do not fight.
The preservation of craft work is an important part of upholding a country's identity, origin and cultures, as it serves as a mirror that reflects its cultural and historical richness, especially in Africa. It is against this backdrop that Nigeria and Morocco are harnessing handcrafts for the economic benefits of both nations and also strengthening bilateral relations between them. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
It's the first of its kind as Nigeria and the Kingdom of Morocco showcase their rich culture through an exhibition of handcrafted traditional dresses, bags, shoes, interior decorations, jewelry, artistic carpentry, and kitchen utensil, among others. This is a collaboration between the Sokoto Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture and the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Services of Morocco to promote culture and trade for the mutual benefit of the economies of both nations.
We benefit the country in terms of internally generated revenue because we are promoting art and crafts. That is the basic of this, so that creativity, people who are doing things with hand, we will borrow from technology from Morocco so that we can enhance. Most of the clothes you see here, 95% are handmade.
In furtherance of the existing relationship between the two countries, the Kingdom of Morocco's ambassador to Nigeria and the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, Sokoto State, who spoke on behalf of Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, noted that the collaboration is timely as the rich cultural heritage of both regions is necessary for boosting internally generated revenues.
Nigeria and Morocco are also linked by centuries-old history, which means that the two countries share the same culture. This exhibition will allow the Nigerian public to discover the multiple forces of Moroccan crafts and culture.
A lot of leather from Sokoto red goat, which is the best as the experts say in the world, finds its way through Kano to Morocco and to Europe. This kind of gathering should see how we can foster relationship that we can deal directly without the third parties, and also build on the existing mutually beneficial relationships.
This new collaboration, which comes after an earlier successful solar energy and fertilizer production agreement, seeks a closer working relationship between the Sokoto Caliphate and the Kingdom of Morocco in the areas of religion, education, and culture. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And in business news, over 3 billion naira worth of e-naira has been minted since the Central Bank of Nigeria launched the digital currency a year ago. The platform has also recorded over 700,000 transactions amounting to about 8 billion naira within the period. Delivering a keynote address at the e-naira one-year anniversary held in Lagos, the governor of the Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, added that 33 banks have been fully integrated, over 3,305 merchants registered, and 919,000 customers onboarded. To underscore the overwhelming interest and encouraging response from Nigerians and other parties across the world, the CBN governor said that the e-naira website attracts an average of 2.5 million daily visits. The Deputy Governor, Economic Policy, CBN, Kingsley Obiora, who chaired the Technical Working Committee of the e-naira, added that the platform has provided access to financial services to undeserved and unbanked segments of the population. Away from Nigeria, reports from Sudan said that a protester was killed on Tuesday as pro-democracy demonstrators marked the first anniversary of a coup that derailed a transition to civilian rule. Waving Sudanese flags, thousands of protesters in Khartoum and its suburbs defied security forces who have carried out deadly crackdowns on past rallies, demanding that soldiers go back to the barracks. Security forces responded with tear gas in some areas. The Central Committee of Sudan Doctors, in a statement, said that a demonstrator was run over by a forces vehicle in Omdurman across the Nile from Khartoum, raising the death toll in the crackdown since the coup to 119. A year ago, Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan seized power and arrested civilian leaders with whom he had agreed to share power in 2019. However, mass protest compelled the army to depose one of its own longtime autocrat, Omar al-Bashir. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.